Everything I share and talk about is my truth. That does not mean that whatever I believe or whatever I have experienced is what you should believe and what you should have experienced or should experience. I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in other people's stories that we forget that this journey it's sacred, it's our own, it's different, but it's the same. Anyway, so something kind of popped up last week, and I'd been trying so hard to stay centered and keep my peace and not be disturbed by life, and every moment I had to kind of practice letting go, I did, and I was in such a peaceful space for a good couple months until something happened that I didn't expect to happen. I was disturbed. Oh, look at that, you can be disturbed. And just crossing the road, and I was so mad at first at my friend for disturbing me because I thought she should have known better. She should have known not to do a certain thing or say a certain thing or think a certain thing. And then I chatted with a friend about it, and this friend had me flipping the switch. So he was like, well, let's go through, I forget who she is, I'll find out and I'll put it in the link at the bottom, but it's a really powerful process, very simple, 4-step process. But the main part that stood out for me was highlighting why I thought she was wrong or why I thought she should have known better. For example, she should have known better because of A, B, C. And then highlighting why she shouldn't have known better. So basically you do all 4 steps and then you flip all 4 steps. And it just brings such a different perspective. I mean, it's so simple, but again, I say so powerful. So there I was highlighting all the reasons she shouldn't have known better. And suddenly that anger for her or against her dissipated, because it all just seemed so silly. Like, we put these expectations on people and on ourselves to be a certain way, to kind of fill the role that we've created or this image that we've created about the people in our lives. And when they don't fill that role, then our worlds are turned upside down and we become so uncomfortable because you are not what I expected you to be. Why should they be what you expect them to be? You know, it's hard enough living up to our own standards and ideals of ourselves, but having to live up to somebody else's, man, that's exhausting. Can you just, for a moment, take a step back and consider the fact that everything is about you? Nothing's got anything to do with anybody else. If you are disturbed, it's because there's something inside of you that's uncomfortable with the situation. Of course, there are moments where things outside of your control are going to happen, but we hold on to that pain and we hold on to those scenarios for the rest of our lives, and then we become defined by them, and it's just all exhausting when it doesn't have to be also exhausting. So the reason that I'm talking about all of this is because after my anger toward her subsided, I was angry at myself because I thought, Simone, you know better now. You know, you've been practicing separating yourself from your ego. You know that you don't have to be disturbed, and you've been doing well with it. You know, so why did you allow this thing to disturb you? And it was something that, you know, was a sensitive spot, but I didn't realize that it was still sensitive until that moment. And then something interesting happened. When I let go of my anger toward her and toward myself, and I really, you know, just took a good look at the situation almost from outside of the situation, I realized, hey, there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity to learn about myself here. So I didn't expect to be triggered, and then I was triggered. So that means that there's something that's still not okay inside me. And suddenly it became this beautiful moment of accepting and almost being grateful for the trigger. In fact, definitely being grateful for the trigger, because it highlighted something that I maybe needed to spend a little bit more time healing, spend a little bit more time and attention understanding why I was still triggered by it. And I guess it's just, there's been a lot of life-changing moments that have happened over the last couple months. But as I practice them and they come into play in the real world, it just gets all the more interesting, because you see your lessons kind of unfolding. You see them in practice. You see that you've grown. So you don't see that you've grown when you're meditating alone in your room, and or if a bus hoots and gives you a fright and you get mad for a second and then decide, I'm not going to be mad anymore, separate myself from my ego, blah, blah, blah. That's not when the growth is happening. Yeah, you're learning. The growth happens when you're in the situation and now you have to put it into practice. Now you have to see. And so just being able to let go of the anger toward myself, especially because we are so incredibly hard on ourselves, being able to let go of the anger toward myself and understand that rather than it being something that shouldn't have happened, it was something that should have happened. It should have happened because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have this information. Now I have this information. Now I can do something about it instead of having it come out in other areas of my life, and being unaware of why it's there. Why is this happening? Why am I pushing all the people I love out of my life? Why am I struggling with my job so much? Why am I... it's just a moment to kind of really get to know yourself.